I'm a Hallmark hater.
Are you kidding me?
This week, we're gonna be reading Christmas books. So in my last video, I shared a few books that were on my radar for this season. So a few holiday reads that I really wanted to get to in the months of November and December. And this week, my goal is to read as many of them as possible. So let's talk TBR. I have my physical TBR right here. There's a couple more books that I've added to my list because I saw some more recommendations pop off. So now I have a bigger stack than what I may have presented in my video. But I'm in the mood to read a physical read because I have been reading a lot on my Kindle the past week. Basically, I was reunited with my Kindle after 2 weeks being without it because I had forgotten it at my parents' place. And so now I have it back. Here's my stack. I think I can already take off Midnight in Everwood because I want to read this during a very specific mood. Like I want it to snow outside. I want it to be very magical. I want to have my Christmas tree up, and it's not the case right now. So I think this is not a contender. And then I think I'm going to take off the Christmas bookshop because I'm just not in the mood for this. So that leaves us with this stack. Now I have these two that I kind of want to prioritize because they were lended to me by a friend. Those are two picks that initially I had highlighted from Kindle Unlimited. So I do have access to them on Kindle, but my friend, after having seen my video, was like, hey, I have a copy of those books. Do you want them? I'm seeing her again in like 2 weeks. And if I could give her her books back, that would be great. That being said, I don't know if I'm in the mood for them right now because Snowden, this one, as the title would suggest, I want to read this while it snows. Like I just feel like it's going to be the perfect vibe. So kind of want to wait for this one. And then A Merry Little Meet Cute, I think it's going to be spicy. And I've read a bunch of spicy books in the past couple of days, and I kind of want to take a break from that. I know Sarah Simone tends to be a more spicy author. I don't know about Julie Murphy, but I kind of want to maybe have something a little bit more tame, I guess, or maybe like more cozy, just a different vibe. That kind of leaves me with those two. So we have Meet Me Under the Mistletoe and All I Want for Christmas. And to be honest, I think I'm feeling this one. So this is by Jenny Bayliss, and it says a city bookshop owner heads to the English countryside for a holiday reunion only to face her childhood enemy. Super intrigued by this, and I've read another book from this author before, The 12 Dates of Christmas. I read that a few years ago and absolutely loved it. So I think this is going to be a great book to kick us off. But before we can even think about getting some reading done, I need to tidy up my apartment. Like it's a freaking mess. You can't really see it from here, but I have been struggling with my burnout in the past couple of days. And I thought that I was kind of over it, but I've had kind of a relapse, a depressive episode, if you will, in the past few days. And like taking care of myself has been very difficult. And that includes like hygiene and making food, but also cleaning my apartment. So my space is a freaking mess, and I think it's also contributing to like this mental state that I was in. This afternoon, I want to at least get a couple of things out of the way. If I could at least get the surfaces clean, like I have some recycling that I need to take out. I want to vacuum. If it looks a little bit more tidy and a little bit less messy, I think that would help me. And then after that, we can reward ourselves and get some reading done. So we're going to start with Meet Me Under the Mistletoe after having cleaned up my apartment. I have completed the to-do list, so now it's reward time. So I have my book and my Diet Coke, and we're gonna have a grand old time. Friends, it's the next day and I'm about to head over to my aunt's house because she invited me over for dinner to celebrate my birthday, which was 2 weeks ago. But I'm about to go there. It's kind of early in the afternoon, but she invited me to spend the day with her and maybe put up her Christmas tree, play some games, just hang out and have fun. But before I leave, I wanted to update you guys on Meet Me Under the Mistletoe because I have made quite a bit of reading progress. I am currently on page 142 and so far I'm having such a great time. I was kind of not expecting it, but the book is just super cozy and perfect for this time of year because this takes place at the end of the month of November. It's in England. We basically follow our main character Nori, who is a secondhand bookshop owner, and she gets invited over to this wedding, which is taking place in this castle in the town that she grew up in. When she arrives at the castle for the weekend with her friends, she stumbles upon the head gardener, who is someone that she used to know as a kid. There was kind of this animosity between the two of them, but now there's this attraction there. And the thing is, Nori has always had a crush on Isaac, our MMC, who is the head gardener. Now they're kind of rekindling their relationship, but they're not necessarily, it's a will day, won't day situation. And so far I'm having such a great time. It was so cozy, so like quintessentially British or English, however you want to call it. I just really love the vibes of this. It's not screaming Christmas yet. I don't know if it'll become more Christmassy as the book goes on, but so far it's just great. I love the cast of characters. I really love the ambiance, the vibes. It's not too festive and too like Hallmarky. I just really love this and it's reminding me why I loved Jenny Baylis's other book that I've read. And yeah, so far I'm having a blast. I'm hoping that I will be able to finish it maybe tomorrow. Depending on when I come back tonight, I might be able to read, but if I come back late, which might be the case, I'm probably not going to be able to make a lot of reading progress. Could I have read this morning? Possibly, but I've been obsessively playing Disney Dreamlight Valley because they recently launched Wish Blossom Ranch, which I bought and I've been playing. And I also had not finished Storybook Vale, so I'm trying to finish both storylines right now. I'm having a ton of fun.
Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing? In Christmas times, we'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You ready? Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart.
Hello, so I think it's been 2 days since my last update, but as you saw, I put up my Christmas tree yesterday. I'm obsessed. I really love the way that it turned out. It wasn't the vibes that I had envisioned when I thought about putting up my Christmas tree, but everything was free. I love that. I used my parents' decorations as well as their tree because they have like a new tree and like new ornaments and whatnot. So I used old stuff that they weren't using anymore. And while it's not necessarily the color scheme that I would have gone for, I have green and gold here, but I do love the result and it's so cozy. Like last night I was reading my book by the Christmas tree and it was perfection. I loved it. Anyway, now let's talk about reading updates. And actually I did finish reading Meet Me Under the Mistletoe by Jenny Baylis. So I ended up really enjoying this and I'm kind of surprised by how much I enjoyed it because this book has been sitting on my TBR for I want to say 2 years at least. For some reason I was never really inclined to pick it up before, but I'm really glad that I did it now because it was a perfect transitional book. I think in terms of the cozy vibes, this is probably what I enjoyed the most about it. It just felt perfect for this time of year. It's the perfect book to transition from fall into winter. In terms of the Christmas vibes per se, this is probably more like a 2 out of 5 maybe. There's definitely mentions of Christmas, like Christmassy things towards the end of the book, but I would say this is more like a quintessential cozy English countryside winter and I really liked it. I think in terms of the vibes, this was perfect. Honestly, loved it. I will say the romance is probably my least favorite part of this. I wasn't really feeling compelled to root for these two characters. It left me feeling very meh. Like it was okay. I didn't really love it, didn't really hate it, but I felt like the reasons why they kept being apart were so dumb. I just felt like their conflicts were unnecessary. They didn't really add anything to the story except to amp up the drama, and honestly, the payoff wasn't that great in my opinion. That being said, aside from the romance, my favorite part has definitely been the whole like side plot with the wedding, and it kind of reminded me of Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood because of that, because my favorite part of this was just reading about the wedding and everything that happened prior to, like the friends, their dynamics, their relationship, the way that it was kind of crazy plots sometimes because we're following a bunch of kind of more rich people. I wouldn't say like crazy rich people, but fairly rich people. And so they do things that are a little bit over the top sometimes, but it just made it more fun and more interesting because, as I said, the romance was kind of meh. And so I really found myself enjoying the rest of the story, like the drama and everything. I will say there are a couple of themes that are mentioned in this book that I don't think the author managed to handle quite well. And it's one of the things that I've seen brought up in reviews and I have to agree with. There are, for instance, mentions of classicism and sexism and suicide. And I just feel like they didn't really add anything to the plot. It's not like the author ended up delivering like this strong message. It kind of felt out of place in a book like this. It just really didn't feel like it needed to be there in order for the story to move forward. Like, for instance, the whole thing about classicism, it's brought up several times, but it never really gets resolved in a way in the end. Why add this if you're not going to make it a strong plot line, you know? In the end, I think I'm going to settle on a 4-star rating because personally I really enjoyed it, but I can see how it can be kind of problematic, and I can see how it could be disappointing if you're expecting a really Christmassy book, because based on the title and cover, you probably expect like a sweet, cute, cozy Christmas romance, and it's not necessarily that. But personally, I was pleasantly surprised. I really loved the vibes, and I think I picked it up at the right time. So 4-star it is. Now it is time for me to pick my next book, and I'm kind of in the mood for something short that I can power through in like a day, and so I ended up picking the shortest book on my TBR, and it is A Mistletoe Bet by Maren Moore. I know nothing about this book, but I've seen it recommended a couple of times before. I believe it's the first book in the trilogy, but I have no idea what the series or even this book is about. This is already so cheesy. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do it. We'll see. I love how it says, I'm here for a week and my life is not some cliche Hallmark movie. And I'm like, this is exactly what this book feels like so far. Oh no. Are you kidding me? What the hell is this? It's being acknowledged, at least. It says, could this be any more cliche? In fact, it might possibly be the Hallmark Christmas movie cliche. Just my luck. So I finished reading The Mistletoe Bet, and unfortunately it did not work for me. So the story follows Quinn, who is living in New York City, and she comes back home for the holidays for the first time in 4 years. And one night she meets with Parker, who is her brother's best friend, and they strike this deal or this bet. Basically, his goal is to make her fall in love with the holidays again, because Quinn just is not a big fan of Christmas and she's kind of a Grinch. So there's kind of this bet going on. Honestly, I don't remember too much about the semantics of it because it kind of falls off to the side fairly quickly, and that's one of the things that I didn't really like about this. I'll be honest, I feel like this was too short for what it was trying to accomplish. I wanted more of the bet. I wanted more of the holiday vibes. I got some of that. Like, I think if we have to compare it on a scale from 1 to 5, the first book was a 2. This one would be probably a 3.5. I feel like there was a lot of Christmas cheer, like some activities that are very holiday related. And so I definitely felt the Christmas vibes more in this one, but the plot, non-existent, honestly. It's kind of a smut fest and I did not love this. And I know that novellas can be good. And I knew that I was picking up the shortest book on my TBR. I had a feeling we might be headed into that territory, but I have read some incredible novellas. We're talking Cruel Winter with You by Ali Azawood, Wrapped Up in You by Talia Hibbert, The Mistletoe Motive by Chloe Leese. Those have all been like 5-star reads for me, and they were incredible novellas. And so I still had hope that this would turn out to be good. I should have DNF'd after the first chapter because here's the thing. I love Christmas movies, but I'm very picky. I love like Elf, the Santa Claus, like we're talking the classics. This felt like a Hallmark movie, and I'm a Hallmark hater. And it's not because I want to be a hater, it's just that I've tried watching those in the past and they always feel super cringy and not good at all to me. So think about those Netflix rom-coms that are coming out. I hate those. I'm not even gonna watch them. And it's funny because I love romance books, but I don't love the cliche cringy stuff that tends to be the case in Hallmark and Netflix movies, especially around the holidays. I can't, I'm sorry. So this is the reason why I didn't love it, because while I was poking fun at the fact that it felt like a Hallmark movie, it felt like one. And I should have known that this wasn't for me as soon as I started the book. You saw me read earlier, but I knew that this was kind of cringy, kind of cliche, way, but I was like, oh, maybe it'll become better and I'll get more invested. But eventually at one point I was like, okay, I'm gonna DNF, but I had maybe 30 minutes of reading left to do it. I was like, you know what? Let's do it. At this point, it could still surprise me. And yeah, it really didn't. So this didn't work out for me. I'm gonna give it a 2 stars. It's not all terrible. And I think for some people, it's gonna be a good, like smutty, fun read. But for me, it just really didn't do what I wanted it to do, unfortunately. So I don't think I'll be picking up the rest of that series. And I have another book from that author on my December/Christmas TBR. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna pick it up because if it gives off the same vibes, I may not want to dive into that. Let me know if you read anything from this author, if there's anything else that I should give it a go. But anyway, now it's time for me to pick my next read. And I'll admit, I don't really know what I want to read next because everything on my physical TBR right now, I kind of want to keep for later on in the month of December. Like once we have snow on the ground, like I'm kind of feeling a cozy, wintry read, but I really want the vibe outside, like the weather to reflect the vibe that I'm looking for. So I think I might pick up another book on my Kindle and don't know how good of an idea that is. We could go for another short read because I do have a couple of those, or I do have full-length novels that I could maybe give a try. So I'll peruse, I'll browse, I'll see what I'm in the mood for and try to pick something, and I'll come back once I have decided. It's now a little bit later and I ended up spending the rest of my day binging My December Darling by Lauren Asher. Now this is what I mean when I say good novellas exist. Granted, this one was twice the length of the other one that I read today, but I had such an incredible time reading it. I just loved how fleshed out the characters were and how their relationship really blossomed, and it didn't feel rushed. It felt very natural. The pacing felt right. I will say, for a book that is supposed to be Christmassy, I didn't really feel the Christmas vibes in this one. There are a couple of scenes and instances where we see a little bit of the Christmas cheer, but on this scale it would probably be a 1 out of 5. Now let me just pitch you this book because I haven't really talked to you guys about it. But this one follows Catalina and Luke. Catalina's sister is getting married to her ex-boyfriend, and Luke is the best man, so he's the groom's best friend. And there's a little bit of animosity between the two of them. For some reason, Catalina has never really liked Luke before, and now they're kind of forced together because of the whole wedding situation. But obviously, they end up falling in love. As I said, I really enjoyed their relationship. I feel like it was perfectly paced. I will say, I thought it would be a little bit more wedding oriented. It felt like the story was very focused on the two of them, and I appreciated that about it. But I kind of wanted to get a little bit more Christmas cheer and a little bit more wedding shenanigans. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I'm giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars, and I'm really glad that I read it. Now, I actually have a book haul to share with you guys. So it was my birthday earlier this month, and so I had 20% off at Indigo, and on top of that, I already had my 10% off that I can use at all times because I'm a Plum Plus member. And so it just felt like the right opportunity. There were a couple of books that I had on my radar that I wanted to get, and so I decided to pull the trigger and order a couple of things. The first half is here today, and I will be getting the second half next week. So let's unbox this together. I don't remember exactly which ones are coming in this box, so I guess we'll have a little bit of a surprise. I'm so excited. Oh my god. Okay. Let's start with the sequels because I see that I have 2 in here. Oh my god, I'm so incredibly excited. First, I have The Things Gods Break by Abigail Owen. I read The Games Gods Play earlier this month, kind of on a whim. I decided to just pick it up. Binge read that in like 24 hours. I ended up giving that book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was so freaking good. And I knew as soon as I finished that book, I was like, okay, I need the sequel. So I ordered it. Look at this. It's so pretty. Oh my god, the end papers. I am obsessed. Is it the same on both sides? Yeah. Oh my god. I'm so incredibly excited. I love that first book. So, and the next one. Ooh, I think this is the one that I'm most excited about. Oh my god, it's Brimstone by Callie Hart. So I read Quicksilver earlier this year. I read that on Kindle Unlimited, and I've also ordered the first book. And once again, a very pretty edition. Oh, I love the end papers. Oh, love that too. Is it the same on the other side? I don't think so. Oh no, I love this. Oh my god. So yeah, I was super excited for this sequel. And then I've seen a lot of really positive reviews, like rave reviews, 5 stars all across the board recently. And so I've been even more so excited to pick it up. So we have it now. Okay. And then I have 2 romances. The first one being A Business or Pleasure by Rachel Lynn Solomon. So this is one that I've already read, and it's one of my favorite romances that I've read from this author. And I just knew that I wanted a physical copy on my shelves because I read an arc of this book a couple of years ago before it came out. But now I have a physical copy, which I'm excited about. And finally, we have a Christmas romance. So this is perfect for this vlog. It's Good Spirits by V.K. Burson. Oh my god, look at these sprayed edges. And I love this cover too. Isn't it gorgeous? But this one apparently is a retelling of A Christmas Carol in a way. And it's supposed to be like this rom-com, like 90s rom-com inspired book. I'm just very excited to dive into it. We might even get to it in this vlog, who knows? But I've heard really incredible things about this one. It had been on my radar for a while, but after seeing some of the rave reviews, I was just like, you know what? Let me get it, because I have read BK Burson in the past and I have enjoyed her work. So I am really curious to read more of it. And because this one is perfect for this time of year, I was like, you know what? Let's do this. I'm excited. So hopefully we can get to it soon. But yeah, we have quite the nice book haul. I'm so excited for all of these and I cannot wait for the second half to get here soon. So I ended up taking the day off yesterday from both reading and vlogging because I needed a good life admin day. There were a couple of things on my to-do list that had been on there for a while that I had been putting off because they seemed complicated and just really wasn't in the mood to do them. But yesterday I was like, you know what? Let's be productive. And if, like me, you've been putting off something off your to-do list, this is your sign to finally get to it, because honestly, those tasks ended up being so much more easier than I thought they would be. And I don't know why I've been putting them off for so long, especially now that I'm done with them. So today I'm going to be dedicating my day to reading, and I have started a new book, which is All I Want for Christmas by Maggie Knox. I'm not really far into it. I'm currently on page 71, and so far the book follows Max and Sadie, who are both competing in this singing show. During Duet Week, they get paired up together for this song and it goes viral on social media. So the producers of the show kind of force Max and Sadie to pair up together and compete together moving forward in the show instead of competing against one another. They end up agreeing to this partnership, but in reality they don't really like one another off stage. Like, they have great chemistry on stage, but off stage it's a little bit rocky. And so I imagine that the story will be following them falling in love, because with a title like this is kind of what I expect. So far it's okay. I will say I'm not like loving it, but I'm also not hating it. I do love a good competition or trials storyline, so I am liking that aspect of it. And I don't think I've read a lot of books following singers, so I find that to be interesting. But aside from that, like, I'm not really in love with either Sadie or Max. I find the writing to be okay. Like, so far it's giving mid, but I'm only at the very beginning, so obviously there might be time for me to actually like these characters and whatever. Today, my goal is to try to finish this. I don't know how realistic that is, but I feel like I didn't read for very long before reaching the 70-page mark. So I have a feeling that I could definitely just binge this in one day. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. Are you kidding me? Not only do they want them to fake date, now they want him to fake propose so that they can fake break up at the end of this? This is so silly, I don't get it. One-year engagement? What a mess, honestly. She's agreeing to that? What the hell? I'm with him on that one. This is crazy. Fake dating is one thing, but being fake engaged, that's another level. And the thing is, they don't even want these two to be engaged like while the show is going on. They want him to propose once they win the show to keep people being interested in them. But their goal is to get like a record deal and be famous for singing. I don't see how this serves this purpose. This is just like adding drama for the sake of adding drama. I finished reading All I Want for Christmas by Maggie Knox, and this was a hot mess. Where do I even begin? Let's start with the storyline and pacing, because this is where I feel like I had the biggest issue. This story was all over the place. You know the plot that I said, oh, they're going to be going on this singing show. This lasted for the first 100 pages. Then the story took a completely different turn. We went everywhere. I feel like we didn't really know where we were going, so we just kept throwing drama at the wall to see what stuck. Honestly, I was just like, what is going on? I didn't know if I wanted to DNF or not, because the story kept taking different turns that I was not expecting, and not in a good way. I just felt like this book didn't know what it wanted to do. It wasn't a romance, but it also was a romance. It just felt very confusing as a reader because you're in for the singing competition, and this is what I really wanted to see, but this only lasted for 100 pages, and then we were already like crowning the winners and whatnot. And I was like, what do you mean? I thought this was gonna be the whole book. And then let me talk about the characters for a second, because what the hell is that? Like, seriously, I did not like either Sadie or Max. There were moments where I was like, okay, they're not too bad, but then they did things that I was just like, are you dumb? Like, are you seriously telling me that this is how you're gonna react to this situation? I just felt like both of these characters were making it difficult for themselves. Like, for instance, there's something big that happens to Sadie towards the beginning of the book, and it follows her around for the rest of the story. She kept not communicating what was going on to Max, but I was like, why? Why is that a big secret? Like, just tell him. It's not a big deal. I understood that at the same time that was her way of coping with the situation, but it just felt like we were adding drama for the sake of adding drama. I just really didn't connect to the characters, didn't care for their romance. I didn't know what this book wanted to be, and I think the authors didn't know either. And so I'm giving it a 2 stars. I didn't hate this completely. I know it sounds like I really had a terrible time. There was this one moment where they went up in the mountains in Canada, and it was super cozy. I kind of wanted the book to be all about that, to be honest. This is what I wanted, and I was like, oh, it took this turn that I wasn't expecting, but I'm actually kind of enjoying. But then it went back to all of the drama in Nashville, and I was just like, oh no, are you kidding? Bring me back to Canada. In terms of the Christmas vibes, because I've been rating all of my books in terms of this Christmas vibes scale, this is probably a 1. I don't think this is necessarily a Christmas book. I think this could have taken place at any time and you wouldn't have seen the difference. Like, sure, there are little mentions of Christmas here and there, but for the most part, it's not a book that is based on Christmas. It doesn't really talk about Christmas at all. So if you're picking this up thinking it's gonna be a Christmas romance, honestly, I wouldn't. So yeah, unfortunately, this was a miss. And now we've had 2 hits with this video, 2 misses, and I'm hoping that the next book is gonna be a hit. I'm going to be picking up Holiday Switch by Tori Jean. I think this is a book that follows 2 people fake dating. Basically, we have this girl who was supposed to go home with this fake boyfriend, but he turns out sick, so his brother, who is his twin brother, I believe, has to take his place, and they hate each other. So I don't know. I'm not too sure about the premise of this, but it sounds kind of a angsty, promising time. This is exactly what I'm in the mood for, so hopefully it will deliver, and it's available on Kindle Unlimited, so I'm gonna download that and then we'll get to reading. Finished reading The Holiday Switch by Tori Jean, and I think we have our 5 stars of this video. I was not expecting this. Honestly, like, I read the author's note. It said like this was her silliest, goofiest romance, and I was like, oh, maybe this won't be for me. And I read the first chapter and I was like, oh, I think I may have to suspend my disbelief. But boy, was this a wild ride in the best way possible. I absolutely adored this book. The Christmas vibes, 5 out of 5. It was chef's kiss. And then the romance, the angst, and oh my god, it was so down bad for her from the start. I was obsessed. I really enjoyed it. I will say I did not love the epilogue, but forgetting that, I loved the entirety of this book and just the way that the author managed to make this relationship believable, because the odds were against them. Let's just say that, being her best friend's brother and the fact that they were twins, and it makes it feel a little bit silly, goofy, but I had such a great time reading this. I could not put this down, and so this is getting, I think, a 4.5 out of 5 stars. stars simply because of this epilogue, but I'll round it up to 5 stars. And I feel like it's rare that I find a Christmas novel that I love, but this one was perfect. Absolutely loved it and highly recommend it if you guys want to check it out. This is by far my favorite thing that I've read for this video. And so I think we're gonna wrap it up here. I like to quit when I'm ahead. Also, I think I'm in the mood for maybe a change of pace, maybe step away from the Christmas romance for a bit, read something different. So I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any Christmas book recommendations for me, please leave them in the comments down below. I will make sure to check them out. And I guess that's it, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!